You've just learned how to drive, you buy a cheap car. You don't need to buy a Ferrari or Lamborghini. You are a race car driver, you buy good cars. I literally do not know where this argument is going to go. I'm literally just streaming thoughts just now about this. So, what I want you to check out and either argue with me or argue with this guy, who's got his own YouTube channel, and he's talking about the Sony kit lens and he's thinking it's great. And then he's done a rant. And I'm doing a rant about his rant, I think. I don't know, I'm going to have to see where it goes. But to paraphrase the whole thing, he's saying, is the Sony kit lens garbage any good? I was like, what is the Sony kit lens? And I think he's talking about this one, which is the 16 to 50mm, which is only for the alpha one, so I don't think that's that full frame or anything like that. 3.5 to 5.6, costing £128. So nice and cheap lens. However, this guy, as a photographer, is talking about how his work is about delivering the final image, and why bother spending money on great lenses if your clients are only interested in the final image. And he's saying that in the past you needed to spend money on great lenses so that you could get the images because you couldn't edit them, but nowadays you've got all these editing softwares, which means you can pixel peep, you can change chromatic aberration, you can change grain and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to have a little idea how this goes. But first point I want to bring up here, this is my main argument here. And his point, listen.
I don't know about you guys, but I charge $100 an hour. So when I'm doing hourly work, it could take me up to 10 hours worth of work to purchase that one lens. Or
no, for me, I was like going, holy crap, that would be brilliant. Only 10 hours of work to be able to purchase $1,000 lens. I'd be like, I'm doing that. I'm happy for that. If you'd said it'd be like, I charge $100 per shoot, and it would take me 10 shoots, that could effectively be like 5 days or 10 days, and then you've got to think about the costs afterwards and all that kind of stuff. And then it'd be like, yeah, that's pretty expensive. But if this guy's saying $100 an hour, and it could take him 10 hours to buy that, I'm like, hold on. If we extrapolate that to a hard worker that's working 7 days a week, all that kind of stuff, that works out to around about 300,000, only working 10 hours a day, $300,000 a year. If I was making $300,000 from my photography per year, I wouldn't want to be turning up to a client with what is effectively a very cheap lens. Now, this is where I think some of you could argue with me. Is, oh yeah, no, it's not about the gear, it's about the photos, or it's about the photographer and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, I absolutely agree with that. However, is there a little bit of an insult to the client by going, I'm using the cheapest gear I could possibly afford, easily afford, to shoot you, and I'm going to take longer in post-processing and editing afterwards, which will effectively cost you more because I'm having to edit more, because I'm having to correct certain things. Again, this isn't about the Sony kit lens. This is more just about if you're using cheap lenses compared to professional lenses, or if you're kind of saying, I bought a cheap lens, oh, it only focused 4 out of 10 shots kind of stuff. And meanwhile, if you'd bought a professional lens, it's like, yeah, I got 9 out of 10 shots, and then the client has more options to look through the images and then. So again, it's different types of photography, different types of clients as well. But I do kind of think if you're saying that you're able to do $100 an hour, and it's going to take you 10 hours to afford that $1,000 lens, I'm thinking that is a fantastic deal. I'm like, yeah, I'm up for that. Yeah, I'm happy to work, because each week you're doing about 40 hours. You could buy pretty much any lenses you want per month, easy. Okay, I like putting things into car automobile terminology here. This, I think, is a bit like saying, right, I want to get a professional driver to take me somewhere. So let's say you go get a Formula One driver, you get Jenson Button, you pay him $100 an hour, and you're like, yeah, Jenson, I want you to drive me from LA to New York or something like that. And they're like, oh yeah, cool. And he turns up in a clapped out Nissan Micra, and you're just like, oh right, I'm paying for a professional, I'm paying high money for the professional, and he's brought a really rubbish car that's going to take longer for us to get to our place, effectively charging me more, and I'm getting no kind of fun or enjoyment of it. I think there's probably better analogies that I could use here. I will think about them throughout this rant, but that's the only one I can think of at the moment. So my idea is that if I was making $1,000 a day, I would be investing the profits that I get straight into the gear that I have. So therefore my workflow after the shoots are far more efficient and potentially lowering the cost to the clients in terms of, I'm having to edit, and in that way speeding up workflow and increasing increasing workflow by able to say I can do 3 clients today instead of 2 because it's taking me 4 hours to edit instead of 10 hours a single shoot. So that's the kind of thing that I would do, and also the potential of being able to deliver more content to your client. So in other words, if you are using a cheap lens which is autofocus isn't great, or it's because again, the cheaper the lens that you get, the more likely you are to have what we call focusing tolerances differences between lens and camera. So the lens may be a little bit out by 0.1 or 0.2 forward or back, and the camera may be out by 0.1 or 0.2, but if you get a higher professional lens, the tolerances are much more restricted, so you're more likely to have stuff in focus. So if you are kind of going, we need to get the focus on, like if you're doing portraits, focus on this eye, then if you're taking, I've done 100 shots, and then the client goes away, and then you're looking at them all on your computer, and you're going, they're all a tiny bit out of focus, I need to spend ages really working on the sharpening on the closer eye and all that kind of stuff, then is causing you as the worker, the photographer, far longer in editing, which would be annoying. So anyway, so that's my main crux of this argument. Big intro there. So let's hear what he's saying.
Is it worth it? What's it do? Video right now is being recorded with the Sony kit lens and not on the A6.
First of all, let me just double check. So first of all, I just want to say I'll put the link to this guy's channel and this specific video down below. So if you want to hear it in better audio, because just now it's just coming through my speakers and you're hearing it, it's very, very poor quality. So I'll just repeat kind of things that he's saying, and we'll just go into a little bit more detail as well. So
This video right now is being recorded with the Sony kit lens and not on the A6000. This video right now is being recorded on the Sony A5000.
Right. Okay, that's cool. So he's using the kit lens and he's using an older version camera. However, what I would say is straight away, although he's got some good lighting, he's got an interesting background, he's obviously got a light lighting up that area of the background, he's got a light in the flash stand and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't look sharp. And I'm just double checking. Yeah, we are at 1080 HD. So straight away, if this was an advert for this lens, I'd be kind of going, doesn't look that good. And maybe just the fact that he's compressed the video as much as possible to upload it, or YouTube compression. However, I've seen lots of YouTube videos where it looks incredibly sharp. And this one, although yeah, we're getting some good catchlight in his eyes and stuff, it's not as sharp as that. So what I would say straight away, this as an example of going, hey, look, I'm using this lens, wouldn't make me instantly go, I want that lens. So that would be the first argument I'd put against this.
I've heard numerous people talk about how it is just a complete and total piece of garbage. Is it a piece of garbage? My short answer is hell no. The Sony kit lens is actually a pretty amazing lens, in my opinion. But before we get into that,
I would also say I like it, the style of presentation. Fast, upbeat, and kind of moves around all the place. I like that. Far better than what I'm doing just now.
I have to ask you guys a couple of questions. What do you do for a living?
Take photos.
Is your job to sit on YouTube and watch some guy dissect a picture?
Kind of, sometimes.
That he took with X, Y, and Z lens to check for chromatic aberration? Maybe.
No, but quite a few people ask me what chromatic aberration is. But however, I get your point. This isn't about me. This is about talking about the minutiae of lens issues that a lot of people will massively complain about, which actually really have no point or no problem with the actual images in the end.
Your job is to sit around and look at photographs all day and try and detect slight hue shifts in the color. Boring.
Again, no. But if there, it's kind of a combination of all these things. If you've got hue shifts, I've got one lens which definitely gives a lot of magenta tint to it. That's just another thing I need to edit in the photos afterwards. And if they do have lens distortion, chromatic aberration, vignetting issues, then those are all things which, especially if I'm shooting at 36 megapixels or 22 megapixels, and I've taken 1,000 photos and I need to get through all the photos and I want to go photo, all these tiny little things, all tiny little things which are of no importance to an individual photo, end up being bigger and bigger and bigger workflow constraints. Which again, if I'm making $300,000 a year from my photography, I'd be going, I want to be a hell of a lot more efficient, and if I just buy the right gear that potentially doesn't have these problems, then that would be a far better use of my time. Just my thoughts.
Nice job. No, wait, I got it. It's to sit around and check for minute hunks of grain in the darker areas.
Fully agree. Yeah, grain. I have no problem about that. So I'm with this guy on these points that people looking at these minute problems are totally pointless. However, when people are paying big money for lenses, they want to make sure that they are getting the best quality for their money. So that's why people are doing this, so that people know that the money that they spend is worthwhile. Additionally, one of the things that which you are paying for with more expensive lenses is sometimes the lens construction, how well it's made, weatherproofing. You could be talking also about focus speed is important, and focus accuracy is also important. Sometimes they've got VR, and usually a larger aperture as well. The more expensive lenses usually have bigger apertures and are usually much more effort has been taken into controlling things like vignetting and chromatic aberration and all that kind of stuff. So generally, for the most part of people, if you are 95% of the population of people that own a camera, these are of no importance to you. But however, focusing as a professional and all these other things, I would say are kind of important.
But I don't know about the rest of you. I mean, I've got way too many other things to be doing during the day. I've got this, that, and the other, videos, clients, money to be made. There's just not enough hours in the day for me to sit around and pixel peep the shit out of my photographs.
I agree. Pixel peeping the shit out of your own photographs is definitely a waste of time. However, the one thing that is the worst possible situation is when you go, yeah, I think that photo looks good, you send it off to the client, and you're like, then on to your next project, and then a month later the client comes back and says, oh, I don't think that's in focus enough, or oh, can you sort out the white balance, or oh, there seems to be some problem with this and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of time is wasted with redoing stuff. That's a massive waste of time, which again I think if you're making loads of money, you want your client to be going, these are the images, perfect, I don't need anything done to them, thank you very much. But if they are coming back and they're going, why is it really dark in the edges? They're like, oh, that's vignetting going on. It's like, oh, could you get rid of that? I don't want that there. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, I forgot to edit that bit. You know, kind of stuff.
But do you know what I've realized over the last 6 years of being a professional photographer? That the clients that I end up serving, they don't pixel peep. They don't constantly check for chromatic aberrations. They don't constantly check for noise in the shadowy area.
Unless anybody is doing stock photography, any of you thinking, hey, I'll get into photography, I'll do stock photography, yeah, they will pixel peep. Generally, magazines and newspapers I've ever shot for, they don't care, they just want the right kind of composition, far more important than anything like that. But as a photographer, you want to be able to focus your time on composition and not thinking, how can I get the best out of the lens during the shoot? So composition is key, I would absolutely 100% say that, but you don't want to be like fanning around thinking, wait, there's a problem, like I can't have the lens off that side because the focus isn't quite as strong on the left hand side of the lens and it is on the right, blah blah blah. So the more money you spend in your lenses, the better it is for you to be able to concentrate on the work at hand. That's what I think. That's what I think.
What you're trying to sell to a client is a mood, a tone, a moment. And most of the time, they get ecstatic over a cell phone picture that has captured those kinds of tones, moods, and moments.
So they're static over a cell phone picture. Really, this is about different types of clients that we're going on here. That's the average person. Business clients, different demands, I think.
So imagine.
Yeah, totally didn't know where I was going with that argument. That's just something. Sorry.
A long time ago, when there was no such thing as Photoshop, there was no such thing as Lightroom, you had to pay top dollar for a piece of glass because you didn't have those tools to correct small, minute mistakes via the lens, whether it be just barrel distortion, chromatic aberrations, whatever the case may be.
Focusing accuracy, focusing speed, and lens construction also important nowadays. As well as things like. Did I just say lens construction? I think I said lens construction a second ago. VR and the size of apertures that we can get.
Maybe there was no way to get rid of those things. So you had to pay top dollar for every single piece of glass that you ever put on front of your camera body because there was no alternatives. But let's be honest, if you're worth your weight in salt as a photographer, you're going to at least do a little bit of touch-up work.
Absolutely, 100%. Anybody who's a professional that doesn't touch up their photo. I know nightclub photographers who each night will be shooting 300, 400 photos of drunk people in a nightclub with horrendous lighting that will be doing touch-up on every photo that they export onto the nightclub websites. So yeah, at no point should any professional photographer think that the camera and the lens and the action of taking the photo is the end of the job. Absolutely not. So I totally agree with this guy.
Inside of some sort of editing program to give it that little oomph, that little bit of pop, your own artistic flair, whatever the case may be. I don't know about you guys, but I charge $100 an hour. So when I'm doing hourly work, it could take me up to 10 hours worth of work to purchase that one lens.
That's great. I'm like, boom, that's good. Get that good lens in.
Or as I'm importing those images into my editor, I can just, done. There are 30.
I kind of missed that bit there. Hold on.
Putting those images into my editor, I can just, done.
I think it's thinking about presets here. So like you can have adjustments for lens corrections and all that kind of stuff beforehand, which you can set whenever you're importing the photo. So yeah, absolutely important things to speed up workflow as well. However, even if you've done, but what I would say is even after you've done those, there's still other bits of correction that you need to be doing, whether, like in certain situations for a lot of my stuff, is I will be doing certain parts of the image will be desaturating so that the roads are less blue when they're in the shade, so they're more grayed out. So they look more like a normal road instead of a blue road from the shadow of the sun, of the buildings and all that kind of stuff. So there's like split toning, there's partial saturation changes, there's a lot of changes whether I'm enhancing the luminance of the orange and whites, but at the same time lowering the saturation so that rooms with these kind of orange lights. So again, with each individual photo, there's still editing that is required to get the best out of it, which is what you can't necessarily do with just a simple preset.
There are 36,000 seconds in a 10-hour span. Do you know how many photos I could edit in that amount of time? The fact of the matter is...
No. Because, I don't know. I really don't know. I've seen one guy who is a professional property photographer. No, I should restate that. Professional architectural photographer. And even in his fastest speeded up videos of a single photo of a single room from a single angle, it took him about 20 minutes. And that was speeded up. So let's say it takes half an hour per photo. That's talking about 20 photos in 10 hours. So that would probably be about one house a day. So I'm gonna go. I don't know what type of photography this guy does, but that could be anywhere between 20 photos to 200, around about that. Depends. And again, I know other people that do like portrait photography as well. We will be going from pour to pour to pour to hair to hair to hair, editing all that, and they could take 10 hours to do one photo. So I'm going to go from 1 to 200, around about there. I don't know.
Is that there's nothing wrong with the Sony lens. There's nothing wrong with these cheap Minolta lenses. There's nothing wrong with lenses, period. Everything is artistic. Everything is personal taste. Everything is personal expectation, personal workflow. It has nothing to do with having a dick measuring contest every single time you open your camera bag.
I agree and disagree with that. You're totally right. It's not about like again with my work. It's totally I don't need a big camera. I don't need a big lens and all that kind of stuff. But the camera which I've got is quite big, the Canon 5D Mark II, and it's a workhorse. So if I were to turn up with a point and shoot, that would be an issue. But let's say I could do the same amount of work with a Canon 1000D and a 10 to 20 millimeter lens, but the aperture is not quite as good, the focusing is not as good, the depth of field is better, which is always handy. However, the battery is not as good, and the body as well, if it was to take a bump or fall out of the car, all that kind of stuff. So many issues kind of going on there. So again, it's different types of photography, different types of needs, I would definitely say. And also, I would also point everyone to a video which I've ripped apart, or not ripped apart, but I've left a couple of comments on before, which is by the camera store, where they had some people who were Hasselblad camera users, and they were like, oh yeah, we can't turn up on a shoot with the same camera as someone else. And it was a kind of case of like, you're using a £20,000 camera with a £5,000 lens, and you're taking pictures of some hair on the floor, and you have an art director with you as well. How much help do you need and all that kind of stuff? It's like, so I would say that there are extents where the dick measuring contest is totally pointless, but sometimes clients, even though I think that those people using the Hasselblads were like way like up their own ass, clients, if they're paying top dollar, do expect a certain presence on the shoot. I think that's just my opinion. Is it just my opinion? Again, everyone, debate with me. Do the expectations of clients affect? Because I think it also affects the way that the rapport that you have with them. So a lot of times I'll go into people's houses, and half of the people will go, "All right, you're taking the photos, fine. I'm paying no attention." Other ones will go, "Oh, you've got a Canon. Oh, so you don't shoot Nikon." And those people who are interested may be like, "Oh, that's a bit more interesting." So there is a level of expectation from some clients regarding the presence that you have on a shoot. Like, again, I'm sure professional photographers can take amazing photos with any camera. However, do you see the examples of Peter Hurley doing a headshot? Hey, I'll just bring out my cheap little point and shoot and put on the cheapest lens. Oh no, you don't put a lens on a point and shoot. But he doesn't come out with the smallest camera and a kit lens when he's charging $1,000 per head shoot. So that's something which is, I would say, arguable.
So much of what we do can easily, quickly, and efficiently be corrected at the press of a button. It doesn't require a massive investment of time. So when you're doing work for clients, you get more done. When you get more done, you can make more money. And when you make more money, you can buy more expensive lenses if you want. But the fact of the matter is that you don't have to. It's not a requisite to being a good photographer. Being a good photographer is all about skill and your creative eyeballs.
Absolutely agree. But if the kit that you've got is restricting you in any sort of way, or making you not achieve the artistic vision that you're wanting, like, oh, I want really shallow depth of field, so you're not getting that. Oh, I'm going to have to edit that in Photoshop afterwards and spend 10 hours trying to do a fake Gaussian blur on the background, which may look like totally crap. that's where, if you're making money from photography, £1,000 per 10 hours, I would say it's better just to buy the gear, so that you can achieve the artistic vision that you're really trying to get straight away instead of afterwards.
That's it. If you're just now getting into photography and you happen to pick up a Sony camera and it happens to have a kit lens, if you don't already have the kit lens, go ahead and get it.
Right, okay, so this is where the argument all comes down. So, this argument is completely separate. This is talking about if you've just started photography and you're buying a kit lens, boom. He, as a professional that's making $1,000 per 10 hours of work, still saying, oh, just buy the kit lens. That's where I see the, like, hold on, if you're making this amount of money, why would you still be buying the same gear as what beginners would be happy with? And again, I'm trying to bring that into like the car analogy as well. Let's say you are a race car driver, and you're going, yeah, I race cars for a living, and but I'm just going to keep on buying the little Golf Punto, the Fiat Punto for my races. You're like, no, but you're like racing against Ferraris and stuff. You've just learned how to drive. You buy a cheap car. You don't need to buy a Ferrari or Lamborghini. You are a race car driver. You buy good cars. If you're making like millions of pounds from it, but race car drivers buying a Fiat Uno, Punto, whatever those are, that's where I'm like, no.
It's good. I enjoy it. I use it daily. I'm using it right now. But a word of forewarning, newbies, don't let these pompous asshole pricks on YouTube make you feel like you're not good enough or that your work isn't good enough.
I wonder if that was a me. Maybe it is. I don't know. But quite a lot of the time, I've done a lot of videos talking about how the difference between professional and amateur, and how you should never think of an amateur as a person that takes rubbish photos. You have beginners, intermediates, and experts, and within them you have amateurs and you have professionals. So if you're a beginner, you're on a learning curve. If you're professional, you shouldn't be on a learning curve, and you should have figured out all the restrictions and limitations of the beginner gear that you've had, or at least reach the limitations of the beginner equipment that you've used at the start. So whenever you're working as a professional, you can work as efficiently as possible. That's just my opinion, but again, that's separating beginners and learners from experts and professionals. An expert can still take a photo, and a professional can still take a photo with a kit lens, absolutely 100%. However, for work-wise, and if you're making shed loads of money, you buy what you're meant to be using. Again, feel free to argue.
There are so many photographers out here that literally bash other photographers every single day. They ruin another photographer's self-confidence. It ruins their creative drive to get out there and try harder and do better. It really pisses me off that if you don't have a $2,000-3,000 camera body and have a $2,000 hunk of glass hanging off the front of it, they make you feel like complete and total shit. I don't.
True, I've seen that as well. I was speaking to a guy at a nightclub the other day. We were shooting a band together. I was doing video, he was taking photos, and he was shooting with the Canon 60D, I think it was, with all that kind of stuff. And he's just saying, the amount of shit that he got from a gig that he was at from another photographer that just gave him no attention whatsoever. So there is definitely, not so much in my work, because I don't really deal with other photographers, but certainly from music photographers that I've dealt with, there is a major I've spent thousands on this, why are you here with your... I think that's also because some music photographers or gig photographers are going in what's called the pit in the front of like music events or concerts and all that kind of stuff, and it's almost insulting to the photographer there who's working their ass off and buying the expensive lenses that can reach all the way to the musician, all that kind of stuff. Then somebody comes along with a point and shoot and is also in the pit. I don't know. Again, there's lots of different types of photography and different types of clients that require different needs or have different needs. That this is so hard to really normalize? No, that's not the word. To stereotype this information for all photographers, from beginners to experts, from amateurs to professionals, from event and concert photographers to wedding photographers to portraits to landscapes to real estate, all that kind of stuff.
Want to ever discourage anyone that ever watches any of my videos. You can take amazing photographs with just about anything. Anything we have right now is better than everything that the photographers had in the last 100 years.
Totally agree, absolutely 100%. Yeah. Anyway, what annoys me is whenever you have a beginner photographer going, oh yeah, I've got this Canon 700D and this lens. I'm like, oh, but yeah, I hear if I get the Canon 5D Mark II, my photos will be better. You like kind of go, dude, you're taking pictures of your cat. Like, no, it's still going to just be pictures of your cat. But at the same time, if they were to invest in some lighting, in some flashes, in some education, the amazingness of images that they could get far outshines what they could get by just going to a better camera. 100% agree on that.
This stuff is so advanced, it's so amazing. Don't let them run you over. Don't let them kill your creative spirit.
Absolutely, 1,000,000% agree. But make sure you've got that creative spirit, which you've got to have from the start. Don't just kind of go, I've got a camera, why aren't my photos amazing? It's like, because you're still taking pictures of a wall. Try and take something creatively.
If you've got a camera and you've got a lens, go out there and make some art. Make something beautiful, make some...
Right, cool. I think his rant goes on a little bit more, but I'm bursting for the toilet, so I'm going to finish off this video here just saying, check out this guy's video, subscribe to his channel. He's got some good content, he's producing it very well, and it seems to be very good in front of the camera as well. So check out the photo/video show, and with everything on the internet, feel free to argue, to debate, to agree or disagree, because that's what is fun about the internet. Okay, right, see you guys later. Cheers, bye-bye. One last thing is that if you are on my photography channel, you may not know that I've got two other channels. One is my exercise channel, which you can check out, which is Dom Bauer Exercise. I think the actual name is just youtube.com/Dom Bauer. And I've also got another one on this channel, so I've got Dom's Talks. And a lot of that is going to be about, well, me dealing with my first ever newborn baby, little Logan Bauer, born on the 4th of September, and so I'm learning to be a dad. So it's all my mistakes and all the things which I'm learning which are quite useful. So if you want to see more about little Logan and how he's getting on, check out Dom's Talks. And if you want to see, I've also got Dom's Flights as well. So again, I'm doing a lot of stuff flying my DJI Phantom around the places, and also going through the process of getting the license to do it commercially. So if you want to see how I'm doing that, check out the Dom's Flights channel as well, which I put all the links to down below. So thanks for watching, bye bye.